Jake here for American Trucks, and today I'm taking a look at the square tube drop style Nerf side step bars in matte black, fitting 2019 and newer Ram 1500 crew cabs. Nerf bars bring a cool, rugged look to your truck, and these only up the style game a little bit more with their unique type of tubing. Combine those rugged good looks with some additional practicality and further protection, all for an affordable price, and you get a setup that's going to work for a large variety of different usages. So if all that sounds good to you, then you're going to want to stick around to check these out. Adding a set of side steps, or in this case Nerf bars, is an easy way to change up your truck's looks while making it a little more functional too. Whether you just like the aesthetics or maybe you're looking for a solid step for off-roading or access, these Nerf bars are going to get the job done while looking cool too. They feature a typical Nerf bar type of setup with the drop steps that sit below your doors. Now these have pretty wide steps, as you can see, about 6 inches wide in fact, and they've got some grips baked in here too to give you some additional traction should you find yourself out there in the wet or other slippery types of conditions. As you can see too, you've got openings in the steps to help drain off dirt and debris too. But they also feature a unique design in the main bars themselves. So they've got these square type bars going through it. Now personally, I think they're pretty beefy looking, and I think that they work well with the square jawed styling of the Ram. And these sit pretty proud of the rockers too, but they still manage to cover the entirety of the wheelbase. As you can see, these guys are pretty long. So even if you manage to damage the step or hit them on something, these beams are going to keep the truck's body from being destroyed. Now these also bolt right onto your trucks. There's no need for drilling or modification either. And another cool thing to note, and you've probably already picked up on it, obviously the steps are detachable, so they are a separate piece from the bar itself. So unlike a one-piece bar, if you find yourself out in the wilderness and you're doing some more serious off-roading and you need that extra clearance, just a couple of bolts will get these steps taken off, and you'll still have the rails there to provide you with some additional protection. And everything just bolts right onto your truck, and it all bolts together, so you don't need to do any drilling or modification either. The bars and steps are constructed from high-strength aircraft-grade 6061 aluminum, making them extremely durable while also being very lightweight. And everything is topped off with this nice black powder coating too. It's a matte black type of finish, so they're going to hold up very well to anything you can throw at them, or anything Mother Nature can throw at them for that matter, including water, rocks, even UV rays. So these should look good on your truck for a long time, and that matte black makes a nice pairing for pretty much any paint color and also for some of the other trim on your truck. All of the bracketry that's included too also comes powder coated, so everything is going to be nice and durable, even the stuff that you can't see. Pricing for the set comes in at about $400, and that makes them a relatively affordable option within the category. Now these aren't going to be as inexpensive as some regular flat running boards, nor do they have any fold-out functions like the more expensive ones, but they are a good solid platform for you to use or even just to look at. And if you're on the hunt for a step with good looks and functionality and some additional protection for your truck, these are going to certainly hit that target, and they're also not going to cost you a whole lot of coin. Installation is going to get a 1 out of 3 on our difficulty meter, and it should take you about 2 hours to complete the job. Now, like I mentioned earlier, these are a totally bolt-on setup, so they don't require you to make any additional modifications or any permanent modifications to your truck. Everything you need comes included in the kit too. All the hardware, all the brackets, everything you need. So this is easily a job you can accomplish at home in your garage or driveway. And to show you exactly what's involved, let's go ahead and jump on out to the install bay where we'll give you a detailed walkthrough.
Tools required for this install include a ratchet, a 13mm wrench, and 10 and 13mm sockets. What's up guys? Today we're installing a set of side steps on our Ram, so let's get started. So our first step is to assemble our side steps. Our steps come separately from our bar. We have 6 riv nuts in each side that we're going to be putting a bolt with a lock washer and a flat washer through. These are going to flip upside down, lay onto those riv nuts, and then we'll install our bolts. So now we can grab our step and line that up with our riv nut holes, and then we'll throw our bolts in and tighten them all down with a 13mm socket. And now we'll do that same thing for our other step and repeat the whole process for the other side. So next we can install our studs with our retainer clips into these slots that are cut out throughout our side step. So we're just gonna take our retaining clip and just thread that onto our stud. And then we'll just leave a little gap there, and then we can put this into the slot and turn it 90 degrees to lock it into place. And now we can do that same thing on the front side. Now for our rearmost one, it's gonna be on the side behind our step. Now the last piece of assembly that we need to do on the table is to grab our bolt with the square head. That's gonna be sliding into the slot on the rearmost part of the side step. So we're at the rear step. We'll just slide that in and we can line that up later. So now we're ready to install our 3 brackets for our side step. Our front and center are the same bracket and the rear one is different. We have 3 sets of 3 studs underneath the truck that we'll find and line up our brackets to and install those with flat washers and locking nuts on each of our studs. Now there is an additional bracket for the rear that we'll worry about later once we get our side step installed. So now we can install our brackets. Now our 2 lower stud holes are slotted, so we do have some adjustment there. Now with that being said, I'm just gonna try to center this bracket up on our 2 lower studs as well as possible because we do still have some adjustment from left to right on our side step. So now we'll just center up our bracket. I'm gonna tighten down the top one first with a 13mm socket. And then we can repeat that same process for the rest of our brackets. So now we're ready to mount our side step onto our brackets. I'm gonna grab a second set of hands for this. We have 2 holes cut out in our front and center bracket and then 1 hole cut out for the rear. The front and center are gonna get the 2 studs that we have those retainer clips on, whereas the rear is gonna sit in that bolt with the square top that we put into our step. So now we can get all of our nuts and bolts installed. On the front and center bracket, you're just putting flat washers and locking nuts. However, in the rear, it's a little bit more intricate. We have our support bracket. There's a circle hole and an oval hole. The oval hole is gonna go to that stud that we installed, and the circle hole is gonna line up with the oval hole on our bracket. So we'll slide that on, and then take a flat washer and a locking nut onto that stud. And then we're gonna take our bolt with a flat washer to go through our bracket. And then another flat washer and locking nut on the other side. And now on that stud with the square head that we slid into our step, we have a smaller washer and a smaller locking nut. And now for the front and middle brackets, you're just gonna be putting 2 washers and locking nuts on the bottom here. So we'll get those installed and then center up our side step and tighten everything down. Now first we're gonna tighten down the bolt that goes through both of our brackets. That's because our top one is on a slider. So we'll get that centered up first before we tighten down our top bolt. So I got a 13mm wrench on our bolt side and a 13mm socket on the nut side to tighten this down. And then we'll use our 13mm socket to tighten up the nut. And then we can switch to our 10mm socket to get the nut at the bottom here. And then you can use a 13mm socket to tighten down the 2 nuts on the center and front bracket. Now at our center bracket, we can install our flat washer and locking nut onto each of our studs. And then we'll take our 13mm socket to tighten them down. And then we can do that same thing for the front bracket and repeat the whole process on the other side. So that'll wrap up this review and install of the square tube drop style Nerf side step bars in matte black for your 2019 and newer Ram 1500 crew cab. Thank you for watching, and for all things Ram, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.